So the first thing we saw at Raw this week was the Judgment Day making their way to the arena. They were coming down through the crowd. Obviously, the crowd weren't there yet. And Carlito put his hand on Raquel Rodriguez's shoulder and she pushed it off. So basically, he tried one and he went and found out. Also, hello, my friends, and welcome to the only review show you need. It is Ups and Downs of Monday Night Raw with me, Simon Miller, the Progress Proteus champion. Salute to people that keep messaging me going, I can't believe you keep going on about that championship. Well, have you ever won a championship? No, you have not. And if you had won one, you'd be doing it too. Anyway, the point is this. We are on the road to Survivor Series, which is not a thing. So does this Raw get an up or does it get a down? Let's find out by upping those downs. Damn it! We then made it very clear that it was going to be Gunther versus Damian Priest in the Survivor Series for the World Heavyweight Championship, which means now the match we're doing at the SummerSlam is the match we're also doing at the Series of the Survivor. Good. We're also doing something very interesting with Gunther, because here he did come out for a promo, but maybe his armor has been a little bit destroyed. He's not the confident man he used to be. Now, he made the silly mistake of saying Damian Priest's name, so as per Wrestling Rule 14 point out at Game Demo, he even said this. He was like, let me stop you, bro. One, I saw the advertising on social media and you want to talk to me, so I want you to say it to my face. And two, well, I know what you're going to say. Street trash, I came from nothing, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of boring pap. Priest also reminded the ring general that before their last match, he wasn't very confident in himself until he realized, oh my gosh, I can do this. Let's go back to the Slam of the Summer. The only reason Damian Priest lost his championship was because of Finn Balor. And also, Gunther, ever since then, you've been losing to people like Cody Rhodes. So I think your confidence is down on its luck. He also had one last piece of evidence, because if this was around the time of Hot WrestleMania, Gunther would have taken a swing for him, but you were just standing over there like a massive jabroni. He didn't say that, and he didn't do his arms like he's Elmo, but he still made this point. Now, WWE definitely played it this way, because you could see it in Gunther's eyes, and maybe he had come up with a backup plan here, because before he did anything, out came his fake son, Ludwig Kaiser. Now, he made it very clear that at Survivor Series, it will be the same result. When Gunther grabbed him, he put his mic down, and essentially said, listen to me, you stupid fake son of mine. I don't like what you're doing, and you better stop it. Now, this is where I am going to throw a quick down in there, because check out this list. Imperium, DIY, Waller and Theory, The New Day, The Bloodline to a point, and there's more people too. We are teasing way too many tag teams breaking up. Like, you do one, possibly two, but if you do it for everyone, well, it's the law of diminishing returns. And eventually I just swat walking around going, can we please all stop getting divorced? If you are going to get married, why the hell can't you make this work? So yeah, it's just sort of relying too much on the same narrative, and that's a down. Anyway, Kaiser then did call Damian street trash, so Priest just went and punched him right in the face. And once again, Gunther thought about attacking Damian Priest from behind, but he did not. I think he's rattled like a toy. Instead, he kind of just smirked and walked away. The big headline from this segment is that Damian Priest was so damn good. He sounded so confident, he sounded so assured of himself, and it's just like a dude you want to hang out with and play Nintendo. So he has had a great 2024, and while very sadly I don't think he is going to win that belt, come the pay-per-view, premium live event, it doesn't matter, man. He is a main eventer for life. Give it an up. When we had the most bizarre WWE return ever. I mean, maybe management were thinking, yeah, man, less is more, but I tell you this, friends, actually turns out sometimes less is less. Because Damage Control were being interviewed and they were like, oh man, we're going to do so great, we're such a good team. When Dakota Kai just walked in and said, g'day, mate. Turns out I'm back. And listen, this is absolutely wonderful because Dakota did have that injury and you never want to see anybody hurt. But couldn't we have had like a video package or done a match and she was going to run out there and make the big, I can't believe it. Apparently not. So it kind of just felt a little bit deflating, and I don't think that's fair to Dakota Kai. Listen, nobody ever wants to get hurt, but there is like a net positive, or you can find a net positive, because you can build the return. We didn't do that at all, let's got to get it down. It also sort of felt like she snuck into Raw, and now these three are going to be taking on the Pure Fusion Collective later. I still love to hate that name. We then cut to Kofi Kingston, who was talking to R-Truth, saying, hey man, thanks very much for saving us last week. And also, sorry I couldn't help you when you were being beaten up by the Final Testament, but Xavier Woods wouldn't let me. I was like, Kofi, if Xavier told you to jump off a bridge, would you? No. Woods, though, was literally right here. So surprise, surprise, he heard everything. And he walked in to be like, excuse me, what are you talking about? When Pete Dunn also turned up. He doesn't like Truth, because 7 days ago, Truth had called him Butch. Bro, you gotta get over it. Kingston then got in Pete Dunne's face and challenged him to a match. And of course, Woods didn't like this either, because once again, Kofi, why are you always taking the lead, man, and leaving me down here in a puddle? This does get very good later, so we'll get there. When it was indeed time for Damage Control versus the Pure Fusion Collective Pokemon Edition. Now, I'm just going to say it, and of course, I am a positive Pete, but I am always honest as well. I think this feud is very good. And that is mostly because we haven't seen the fusion that is collectively pure in weeks, and all of a sudden they were just back talking about the fact they had taken out Dakota Kai, and that is true, but you can also kind of throw logic into the mix and go, if nobody knew that Dakota Kai was going to be back, who the flub booked this match? So it just felt so random, which is not the WWE way in 2024, and these 6 women are so damn talented, I just think we could have told a much better story instead of kind of just grabbing random bodies and going, whoop, out you go, have a match. Also, the collective of Pure Fusion were put together to take over the women's division. They did not. Down. This match was fun though. I mean, it was just a good multi-person fight. Now, Damage Control did start well until Shayna Baszler saw Kairi Sane and was like, no man, I'm part of the PFC. Essentially, she threw her out of the ring. They were doing so well, they were even able to circumvent the most powerful force in all of sports entertainment, the commercial break, because when we came back from the advert, they were still in charge, which is when Dakota Kai got the hot tag. She took out Baszler with a big boot, but Shayna just ignored that and instantly applied a single leg Boston Crab. And I'm calling shenanigans on that one. I looked it up. Shayna Baszler is not from Boston. Io Sky knew that too, so she made sure to break it up when poor Kai also then found herself in the Kira Fuda clutch. But essentially, we secretly got the tag to Sky. There was a lot of wiggling and jiggling, so Sky went to the top of Tina the turnbuckle and she hit her moonsault onto Shayna. 1, 2, 3. Now that made all the sense in the world because of course Io is the #1 contender, so we should be giving her all the magic in her Tootsie Toes. Like I say, this was a perfectly good match, and I did enjoy myself, but we could have done so much more. But, you know, focusing on what we did do here gets it up. Jey Uso and Sami Zayn were then hanging out backstage, because when the bloodline's involved, who cares about the brand split? That's because Jimmy Uso was here, and he instantly fell out with Sam, and Jey Uso was like, oh, for goodness sake, can't you just get on the same page? So very nicely, Sami Zayn said some pleasant things about Jimbo's outfit, and then Jim tried to reciprocate, but he couldn't think of anything good to say. It made me laugh. Turns out this bald a-hole was totally wrong as well, because War Games is going to be 5-on-5. I thought for 1 year we would do 4-on-4, and that's what they were discussing here. Who the flub is going to be our 5th member? And I thought about it. I'm happy to be involved. Now, Sammy thought he knew the answer to this problem, and Jim was like, yeah, right, who do you know? When Zayn was like, listen, I'll figure this out, and I'll text you, Jay, and I'm only going to text you. They're just like children, although I do find them wonderfully entertaining. It was Kofi Kingston versus Pete Dunne after this, and the badness is coming for the New Day. Now Kingston fired up instantly and hit a dive, and I was like, bro, have you not been watching the show? Because we all know in 2024, when you hit a dive, you trigger the most powerful force in all of sports entertainment, the commercial break. And when we came back from the advert, what was happening? Butch, damn it, Pete was whipping his ass. Kofi was then able to knee him right in the face when he hit a splash of the frogs to the back. Somehow that got a 1-2 ooh. When I was like, what are you doing, Kingston? Because he went back to the top of Tina the turnbuckle and he went for a flying nothing. And how did that work out for you, dude? Not very well. Dunn whacked him. Somehow, though, Kingston was able to come back with the Trouble in Paradise from nowhere. But we then did another favourite WWE spot in 2024. Dunn just fell out the ring. Now, the referee was like, Kofi, you must stay in this squared circle, which sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't. But it just meant that Xavier Woods was like, I can attack you, Pete Dunne. And he gave him a clothesline. Now, Kofi spied this. He was so mad at Woods that he yelled at him right in his face. And as he was getting back in the ring, he continued to shout at him. I was like, Kofi Kingston, because you're a wrestler, you have totally forgotten you're in a wrestling match, and there was so much time, Pete Dunne must have taken his med pack. Kofi turned around, he hit the bitter end, and the New Day member lost. Damn it! Xavier was trying to talk to him afterwards as well, and Kofi shoved him, so let's not forget now. Soon we're about to have the 10-year celebration on Raw of the New Day, so either they're actually going to break up and have a match, or of course Big E will return and save the day. Now, the bad part of my tum-tum, this part right here, wants to see this, because not in my wildest dreams did I think we'd ever do it, but also, I'm going to have to go to therapy after that. Like I said last week, my parents are getting divorced. Either way, though, I think this is so well done. I love the fact we've been so patient. Ties into what I was talking about earlier. And these two are playing their roles so well. They are underrated talents. up. Judgment Day were then playing video games in the back, and Liv Morgan was very excited because her and Raquel Rodriguez, I'm bad now because I wear sunglasses, are going to be going after the tag team titles. Now, thankfully, WWE taped 2 episodes of Raw, so I know what's happening next week. I just sometimes don't like it when the world champion goes after another belt. Focus on your own title. Finn Balor was pissed though, because Morgan described this as having it all, and Finn was like, well, I don't think it's having it all. Do you see me as the world champion? No, you don't. And as we are talking about that, way to go, Dominic Mysterio. You were supposed to take care of Damian Priest last week, and you did absolute crap. So actually, going back to my list earlier, you could throw Judgment Day in there too, because they're falling out, especially because the condom and his moustache said, excuse me, Finn, I'll have you know, in terms of people being this close to winning the world title, I've been closer than you have for ages. I beat Damian Priest. Surprise, surprise, Finn Balor didn't like that. He also pointed out that Bronson Reed got involved, and where were the rest of this group? When Finn also turned into a kid, he was like, well, Liv Morgan told me to focus on my tag team titles, so that's what I was doing. Eventually, Liv Morgan jumped in to calm this down because we are family, so she was channeling Vin Diesel. When Finn, honestly, he's so immature. It's like, well, if you and Carlito, Dominic Mysterio, think you're so good, next week me and JD won't take on the War Raiders, and you can do it instead. And of course, because Dominic was being stubborn, he was like, fine, I will. This is going to end badly. It also means they're booking the show now, which is very interesting. But I tell you this, there is way too many breakup angles in WWE. This one is actually doing pretty well. And I think that's mostly because WWE have felt it in their bones, and this is the time to do it. They had a great 2023, and they have a great 2024, but come 2025, they should use all this power and go their separate ways. I'm also very excited to what we are going to do with Finn Balor. I thought this was well done. Up. Bronson Reed then went to the ring, and I got well excited because I was like, yeah, why don't you say some horrible stuff about Seth Rollins? And he went, all right, mate, I do want to talk about Seth. I think he's a really good wrestler. Like, what the flub is that, Bronson? I want you to eat him. Maybe literally. He then switched gears though and basically said this, because his MO now, until he gets another match with Seth, is to destroy everybody, which is why last week he did get involved in the main event. And you know what? Job be damned, he's going to keep doing it. Now, of course, this triggered Wrestling Rule 14.4 because Seth Rollins did come out and he pretended he was going to speak, but instead he just launched himself at Bronson. And even though we have had a lot of brawls on WWE TV recently, this one was really good, especially because at one point, Bronson super kicked Seth, he fell onto Alan the announce table and he was going to give him tsunami again. When Rollins got up and just jumped on this man and they went flying into Timmy the Timekeeper's area. That was pretty good. The useless security were then here, and even though they had 789 idiots, they weren't able to control these two. When Bronson decided, you know what, mate, I'm going to do a dive. Now, Seth was very smart because he got out of the way, but as for the security guards, well, I've told you, they're useless. And Pierce was then here trying to calm everyone down, and he's probably got PTSD from that RKO. And this continued throughout the commercial break. Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins are very good at this. When we came back to, Pierce was still yelling at Seth, and he was so pissed off. He's like, listen, you are going to get your rematch next week because you guys are totally ruining the show. And Seth Rollins went, he loves doing that laugh. Now I do know what happens because I have seen the spoilers. I wasn't able to get away with it given what my algorithm on the internet is. And all I'll say is this. It sounds like they made some very interesting decisions. It's got me pretty damn excited. That also ties into what happened here, because when all this had calmed down, Sami Zayn proved he had the worst timing in the history of the world, because he walked in and went, oh, hi, Seth Rollins. Listen, we need a 5th member to be on Team Bloodline, and we'd like it to be you. And Seth looked at him like, I swear, you have just insulted me like my life depended on it. Now, he did kiss his ass a little bit, but Seth made it very clear, I would never team with Roman Reigns. And you shouldn't team with Roman Reigns. Nobody should be teaming with Roman Reigns. We all know what the real Roman is like. And if you are stupid enough to do this, then more fool be you when it all comes down onto your damn behind. Honestly, Seth Rollins was so good here, and it was so satisfying. It was like, yes, this is how people should be acting. He ran roughshod over WWE for 4 years. I mean, it really would have been awful if Rollins had just gone, oh, that sounds wonderful, and I would have gone online and complained. But what's more, we are just building to what I think is going to be a very intriguing outcome. So when you take all of this and you take all the Bronson Reed stuff, it is getting an up. Trust me, not going the way you think it's going to go, but it goes in a good way. It's good stuff. I also had to point out that when Bronson Reed first walked out, Wade Barrett described the tsunami as the most devastating move in all of wrestling. So I was offended. Wade, stop lying. This is when it was time for Damian Priest versus Ludwig Kaiser, and yes, Damian beat him. Now listen, this is kind of like what we did on SmackDown when Tommaso Ciampa just whooped Pretty Deadly's ass, but I do understand it. Damian Priest is the #1 contender. If you beat Gunther's fake son, that gives you a bit of momentum, and it just comes back to that old John Cena quote, sometimes it's not your night. Like, Damian Priest could have squashed a nobody, but that ain't gonna do much of anything. Damian was super annoyed at the start here too, and he just punched Ludwig right in the face when he threw her into Tina the Turnbuckle. But that was a bad place to be in, because eventually Kaiser reversed that, and he threw Damian into rear the ring post. It then made me laugh because he applied a headlock. It was like we were doing the match in reverse. When he tried to suplex Damian Priest, I was like, for goodness sake, Ludwig, have you not watched a Damian Priest match? We all know he loves doing the Falcon Arrow, and surprise, surprise, Priest reversed it, and he smashed him with the Falcon. Priest then went Mortal Kombat combo and actually almost got the Razor's Edge, but Ludwig landed on his feet. And he made a terrible decision. He had all the moves in the world to choose from, and he went XYB up down, and he slapped Damian right in the face. And all that did was annoy him. I mean, they did go back and forth a little bit, but eventually Priest landed the DDT. He got the big lariat when he hit the giant choke slam. And that was it. 1, 2, 3. Gunther was hanging around afterwards, so Priest looked at him, so Gunther looked at Priest, so Priest looked at Gunther to let you know this was a big deal. But once again, maybe a few months ago, the Ring General would have attacked. So who knows how this is going to go. I know, Gunther is going to retain his title, but actually I think the build is pretty good. When we got a clip from WWE Speed, and I had to check my watch to make sure I hadn't fallen into the Phantom Zone. Now this was because Braun Breaker and Sheamus had a match on WWE Speed, and it had gone to a time limit draw. Once again, I was touching myself. I actually thought I was dead. Kathy Kelly was then interviewing Breaker though, and he gave us some context. Listen, I am the Intercontinental Champion, but given my age, I am trying to fill up my trophy cabinet, and that stupid Irishman stopped me doing it. When I picture Braun Breaker's trophy cabinet, I like to think he has swimming certificates in there too. You did a really good job on the 100 meters. Now Sheamus heard this, because once again, he was right there. How do wrestlers not notice other wrestlers when he walked in and said, listen, Braun Breaker, you are being disrespectful. I have been here for 15 years, and you have been here for 15 minutes. I was like, Sheamus, I don't think those numbers are accurate. Breaker does, however, remind Sheamus of a younger Sheamus, because it was that kind of arrogance that allowed him to beat John Cena for the world title. And it was true, he did that in double quick time. It was all a ruse though, because basically Sheamus was using this to challenge Breaker for the Intercontinental title. And this Braun man, he's going to be such a good star. He just went, yeah, I wasn't actually listening to anything you said, but if you do want a title match, I'll give it to you. Honestly, his delivery was so good. Put me on the Braun Breaker train. This also ended with Sheamus telling Breaker to shine up the belt because he will take it from him next week. And I was like, Sheamus, that's a dumb thing to say. You actually think that even if Braun Breaker assumes he is going to lose, he's going to make the title look all nice? Of course he's not. If anything, he's going to treat it terribly. So when you get it, you get a stupid, stinky title. You have to think about these things. Now, eventually, I do think Sheamus should win the Intercontinental Championship because, again, it would finish his story, and he mentioned that here. But do I think it's going to happen in 7 days' time? No, I do not. The most interesting part, though, is that once Sheamus had left, Jimmy Uso walked in and he said, oh, hi, Braun. Do you have a minute to chat? And Breaker said yes. So now I'm starting to think that maybe Braun Breaker could be the fifth guy. So once again, this was another very good, intriguing segment, and it had my brain thinking. Sometimes my brain doesn't do anything, giving it up. When we had a very fun swerve. Because that has been the way recently, the Final Testament found Miz backstage, and they're like, woohoo, you're alive. Now, you may be saying, Simon, why is none of this going on the crime counter? Well, you're gonna find out. Miz totally freaked out here though and said, listen, I can't take it anymore. Think of my family. And in fact, I'm going to go to Adam Pearce and I'm going to ask him for a leave of absence. This version of Karrion Kross is the best one. It's like, no, you're not. You know secrets about the Wyatts, and if you don't tell us, we're gonna break your arms. Miz just kept apologizing as Karrion reminded him, oh, did you forget that Uncle Howdy and his boys and girls managed to take out Paul Ellering, who was family, and because the Miz wasn't playing ball, they quite literally did drag him to the ring. First, I was like, you guys are idiots. Everybody knows that when you get into the ring, all the lights go crazy and the Wyatt family turns up. But that's what the Final Testament wanted. I mean, it would be the equivalent of saying you were going to kill someone and doing it in front of thousands of people. But when the Wyatt family did take the bait, it turned out the Miz is in cahoots with Karrion Kross. He slammed Eric Rowan with the steel chair, and for the first time since they have debuted, the Wyatts were beaten up really bad because it was Karrion Kross and his goons who were standing tall. It also made Miz look like a massive dickhead, and him and Karrion hugged it out afterwards. And of course, when they were walking away, Uncle Howdy was just going, ha 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 ha, because he's going to laugh regardless. Now actually, something weird has happened to me over the last week. I kind of want the Final Testament to win this feud. They definitely ain't going to win it. So I just thought this was very unexpected, but it was very well thought out, and it makes sense, because The Miz is a piece of trash. He's always been a piece of trash, and that's why he would do this. So yeah, we have planted the seeds up. Kathy K then wanted to chat to Seth Rollins like he doesn't have enough of his plate. But when he left the building, do you know who was waiting for him by his car? It was Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Because these guys get it, the brand split should be respected. We'll talk to him outside. Solo was so good here, and I thought he was great anyway. But over the last few weeks, he has added some goofiness to his character. And I'm enjoying him so much, I'm just going to tell you, I think I'm becoming a Bloodline 2.0 guy. Come Survivor Series, I want them to win. What are you going to do? Now, Rollins did promise the next time he's in a ring with Roman, he will stamp his head in. That means he's Mario and Roman Reigns is the Goomba. But he's also not going to team with a wannabe Roman Reigns, and that's you, Solo. Honestly, you got to watch this. Because one, Solo's face just drops like he's the saddest man ever. And the whole time Jacob Fatu was doing that weird thing with his hands that he does. As soon as Seth was rude, he just dropped him and he was going to fight. But Sikoa was like, no, Jacob, not now. So thank goodness for Seth Rollins for having the most logical take on this Bloodline stuff. He's the elephant in all of this. He never forgets. And again, even though this only lasted 2 minutes, I'm so damn intrigued. And I want to see what's going to happen with War Games. I gotta give it an up. When our main event was indeed Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez taking on Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the tag team titles, at one point I was like, this feels like a SmackDown match. I was like, that's not accurate at all. Something is wrong with me. Now listen, it was mostly there to set up the Women's War Games match, and I can't actually tell you all of that because it does tie into the next week's episode, but it's one of those things I do need to mention, because when you do know that and then you watch this becomes better than maybe it would have been anyway. What are we doing with our hands? I am going to sneak a quick down in there though, because this is something I've noticed recently. There was no jeopardy in terms of this being a title match, because Liv and Raquel were never going to win. I kind of think it's something that maybe all wrestling companies need to address. Don't book a championship match all of the time, unless I can be like, oh my gosh, who's going to win? Although nobody do that with their voice. It was terrifying down. The thing is though, eventually Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton did run down, because once again brand split be down. And this has become Nia Jax's gimmick. And she turns up, you just know a match is going to be filled with shenanigans. And while some people on the internet get mad, I'm going to tell you the truth, I kind of like it. I mean, Tiffany started to distract the ref, which is when Nia Jax started busting out the Samoan drops, which kind of felt like, oh my gosh, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are going to win. But Bianca Belair saw that pin, 1, 2, ooh, she broke it up. It also turned out Naomi was here, and she ran to the ring, and I have so many questions. I mean, if she was already backstage, why didn't she come out there when she saw Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton did? Or did she actually run all the way from SmackDown? This was totally unhinged War Games. Hilariously, Morgan just stabbed her in the back or gave her a backstabber, so that was a terrible plan, although Naomi did take out Tiffany Stratton, which is when Morgan got booted mid-air by Jade Cargill. That's pretty nuts. It also meant that Bianca Belair was able to get in there and hit her KOD for the 1, 2, 3. And that was interesting. She just pinned the Raw Women's Champion. She deserves a title shot. No, I was so mad she started to whoop everybody's ass, which is when Io Sky was here. And you can see how this is coming together, because it meant Raw ended with Io Sky, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi standing tall, almost like they need one more, and we can do War Games. It also meant that this was technically the 4th run-in during this match, which really pleases me. And listen, I get it. This one is a little bit out of nowhere, because WWE does want to do a women's War Game match, but go in the past and see how these have been received before. They're always pretty damn good. I do think that when we come out the other side, Liv Morgan needs a proper feud, be it with Bianca Belair or Io Sky or somebody else that I'm not going to reveal to you now. But in terms of a main event of Raw, where it is building to in 7 days, I am most definitely giving it an up. It was fun. Which brought us to the end of Raw, and I thought there was a lot of good stuff here. And once again, when I searched my feelings, I am damn excited about that pay-per-view premium live event. That's all I need. Not everything can be perfect, which is why we always throw downs in there, and you won't agree anyway. but Raw is getting an up. Now, of course, make sure you do let me know how bad my opinions are in those comments below. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is my ups and downs of SmackDown. Then you can get annoyed at all my takes, but then we can shake hands and hug like good old friends. Sound good? Sound great? Goodbye.